What up, everybody? It's Aaron here with Robert. I'm back from space. He let me in. He did answer the phone when I called saying I was re-entering. I'm here, so obviously you did.
It was my life model decoy. I did not authorize it.
I called Dr. Doom and he helped out a little bit. By the way, there's a big purple thing in the sky now that he kind of helped me get here too. Mm-hmm. Just saying.
Yeah, does he like to destroy worlds?
I didn't ask. He just asked.
The devourer of worlds.
I didn't ask. He had like some big little horn things. I asked if he could just give me a lift to Earth. That's all I asked. And I kind of pointed in the direction we were in. And then some silver guy came in and he just flew me out here.
It's a big cloud.
No. I hate that version.
That's because it's dumb.
It was so dumb. And they brought out in the Ultimates, and I hated it too. Anyway, so guys, we are here. We're Talking Geek. We're here to bring you all the geeky news. And if you don't, check out our YouTube channel if you're listening to this on our podcast, as we do have other segments and other shows we do on there to cover out everything geek related. We have some reviews of WandaVision up for every episode. This week was a two-parter because it was a long one. So I'm dividing that one up, and enjoy those videos. Today we're going to talk about news. A lot's dropped. I know some stuff we didn't want to talk about. I dropped one. You're like, no. I cried. And then...
I mean, you can talk about it. But
I probably will later.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's a long one, though, because that could be a whole thing. But let's just start with the beginning with the Christopher.
Christopher Plummer passed away, and so it was. He's a legendary actor. He's in his 90s when he passed away. Obviously, most people will know him from The Sound of Music. He was also recently in like Knives Out, All the Money in the World, and he was the villain in Star Trek 6.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
And so, yeah, that was kind of, that's where, we get his little bit of, that he's in this geek community. He was a big Trek fan. And so he actually, he had talked about that before he was cast in that movie, The Undiscovered Country, that he was a big Trek fan. And so as soon as that was an option, he was like, heck yeah, I want to be in that. So yeah, R.I.P., obviously legendary actor, I think he's the oldest actor to win an Academy Award.
Really?
As well for acting. And he was also then the oldest actor to then be nominated, because he was nominated a few years later. He was nominated for All the Money in the World. Yeah. And he was the oldest actor to receive a nomination for acting. And he had won previously about, I think it was like in 2009 or something.
Oh, wow.
For I think it's Beginners, I think is the name of the movie. But he was the oldest individual to win an acting Oscar as well. So just, a huge, long career from The Sound of Music all the way up until, he was basically working, up until the last couple of years. Yeah. Very impressive career. And so our thoughts go out to his family and R.I.P. We'll miss you, Christopher Plummer. You're a great actor, and seemed like a genuinely good guy, too. Especially there was a whole outpouring of support. Julie Andrews, his co-star in The Sound of Music, talked about, losing a friend. Yeah. And so, just seemed like a really good guy, and of course, also a phenomenal actor.
I just want to point out, just to say rest in peace, everyone. We did lose a couple other people that week too. Justin Diamond, and I forgot the other girl's name from Adventure Time. It's escaping me all of a sudden. So I just wanted to say shout out to them. Sorry that you've lost you guys as well. So sad weeks for actors and actresses. But moving on to some other news, Army of the Dead.
Yeah, the Zack Snyder movie, right? Your favorite director?
No.
He's not?
No.
Why did you tell me that you love every one of his movies and that he's your favorite?
And that my favorite line is, Martha, how do you know that name? That's my favorite line from him. Oh, my God. So it gets an early summer release date on Netflix.
Yeah, it hasn't officially been confirmed.
Yeah.
Seems to be a little bit of a rumor-ish.
Yeah.
But I know there are a lot of people that are excited for this. I'm not the biggest Zack Snyder fan, as you know. I'm also not the biggest horror fan. So this is kind of not in my wheelhouse. But
And see, I
really
like
good horror.
Yeah.
I like. So like usually I won't go see something that's horror-ish until like there's a lot of reviews or a lot of people are like, oh, it was a really good one.
Yeah, go see it.
That I'll go see, like something like Get Out or A Quiet Place or The Cabin in the Woods is really good. Like one. those types of movies I tend to enjoy a lot.
I'd say I like the franchise, and that's why I'm like, now we're bringing in Zack Snyder. I'm afraid someone's going to be like, that zombie used to be my mom. Mm-hmm. How did you know my mom? What do you mean you know my mom?
How'd you know that name?
Wait a minute. What's her name? Martha. My mom's name is Martha too. Are we brothers? That's what they're going to do.
Yeah. God, I don't think so. I mean, I love that you're fixating on that one terrible moment from that one terrible movie.
Oh, do you want to go for a different moment in that same movie?
No, not necessarily. Okay. I'm just saying, like, that hasn't been like a theme that he's put into every one of his movies about moms and their names. So,
I don't know any of his other movies off the top of my head, honestly.
I mean, he did Watchmen. He did Sucker Punch, which was terrible. He did Man of Steel. I honestly fell asleep
during Sucker Punch.
As you should. It's a bad movie.
And Man of Steel, I liked.
Man of Steel's good.
Watchmen was good, but that was probably one of his last best, exciting, great movies of all time.
Yeah. I mean, and he's done other horror stuff as well, but I'm not super familiar with all of his work. Again, he's not an actor or a director that I've really sought out his work. So,
but we have to talk about you because Justice League.
It's coming up. We got like a month, and then we get Justice League. Your favorite.
We're done, and then we're done with talking about
excited.
it. We're talking about Justice League.
Once it comes out, we'll be done talking about it. This won't be a debate for the next 10 years about which version was better. And
that is gonna. I didn't even think about that. Oh my god, that's gonna be a debate for 10 years at least. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Oh yes, my gosh, I didn't think about that. Oh, I never thought about that.
You're welcome.
No, but I'm gonna move on to Star Wars because the one thing I like in Star Wars that I've seen before is there a Grey Jedi? Is there Grey Jedis?
So non-canonically, there were Grey Jedis, which in a lot of those extended universe stories, the Grey Jedi were really they were called Grey Jedi, but they weren't really Jedi at all. They were Force users who didn't ascribe to either the light side or the dark side. They kind of lived in the middle, and they would do a little bit of both.
Yeah.
It's almost like at the end of Guardians of the Galaxies where it's like something bad, something good, a little bit of both. That was kind of the Grey Jedi ethos is like, we're not Sith, we're not Jedi, we're Force users, but we're kind of in the middle.
They bring balance. They want to just keep balance.
Yeah. So it looks like Star Wars is reintroducing a similar concept where they're called Wayfinders, but they are Jedi, but they are not adherent to the Jedi Order. And so this is kind of like, think back to the prequels, think back to Qui-Gon Jinn, who was a Jedi Master but was not on the Council and kind of went against the Council's decisions quite a bit. He was definitely more independent, more of a rogue, if you will, Jedi. So it feels like the Wayfarers are a step beyond that even, where they're really not held to anything. Right. They don't, they're not... Like, because Qui-Gon still did a lot of very Jedi-ish things, like, having Padawans and, he was dispatched on missions by the Jedi Council and stuff like that. So he still was working together with, the Jedi Temple and the Jedi Order. It seems like these are people that they're still going to be Jedis. They're going to call themselves Jedis, but they are truly not, involved with the Jedi Order, if you will.
So they could be a Grey Jedi?
Yeah, it seems like they're similar. Like they're definitely Force users, they're Jedi, but they're not necessarily adherent to the dogma of the Jedi.
So here comes my question. Okay. Ahsoka.
Yeah.
We saw her in Mandalorian.
Yes, we did.
She's you said she kind of left the Jedi Order though.
She did. Yes.
So is she technically like this Wayfinder Grey Jedi thing?
I mean, she certainly could be. I mean, at the end, so they're exploring this in the timeline that is the High Republic days. So that's a few hundred years before the events that we're familiar with in the Skywalker saga.
Oh, okay.
And so by this point, it doesn't really feel like Wayfinders are a thing anymore. Like whatever, maybe it's just that section of, the Jedi way has kind of been eliminated, if you will. But we do see Ahsoka, as you mentioned, at the end of Clone Wars Season 6. She gets framed for a crime. The Jedi Council basically accuses her, doesn't believe her, says, that, and it's not until Anakin actually is able to help clear her name. But through that whole process, she becomes very disillusioned with the Jedi.
Right.
And basically is like, I don't want to be a Jedi anymore.
Yeah.
She's obviously still a Force user. We see that in the most recent season of Clone Wars, Season 7, as well as in The Mandalorian. We see she's still a Force user, but she's not a Jedi anymore. So certainly, maybe she could be reclassified as a Wayfinder in her new version.
I'm interested. That'd be interesting. I mean, like I said, I don't know enough on Star Wars, but the Grey Jedi stuff, when I ever read stuff on it, I was like, that's really interesting. You're not good or bad, but bad, what was it? Bad can't beat good or something. Like, they have this like little rule or something behind them. I don't remember it.
Yeah, it's almost like they're like a yin and yang.
Yeah.
Where it's like, they're more balanced, which is really interesting because a lot of the Skywalker saga is about bringing balance to the Force. But it's weird that their interpretation of that is elimination of the dark side.
Kill the other guy.
And it's like, that's not necessarily balance. Like, balance would be equal on both sides. So it's interesting that's kind of always like, bring balance to the Force. And it's like, well, maybe
stop killing the bad guy.
And that's always been my favorite argument with Anakin is like, Obi-Wan's like, you're supposed to bring balance to the Force, not destroy it. And I'm like, kind of after Anakin turned to the dark side, there were 2 Sith and 2 Jedi, so it seems like he kind of did it.
He's like,
just saying.
I just balanced it. What are you talking about?
It's like now we've got the Emperor and we've got Anakin. On this side, we've got Yoda and we got Obi-Wan. 2 and 2. We're good to go. Like, what's the problem?
That's the problem, though. Yoda only weighs like 20 pounds, and him and the other guy are like fully grown. And, he has also metal parts, so he's got to weigh like 300 pounds. So when they stepped on the scale, it was just like, whoa. He's like,
it was a little bit unbalanced.
Yeah, he had to take off like his limbs, and that's a whole thing. That becomes a thing.
Okay.
So.
All right.
But yeah, remember that, guys. That was why it was no balance to it. So Blade. I'm trying to find that.
Yeah, we got some Blade news that we have what we think is the title, Blade the Vampire Slayer. They haven't officially said that, but that's what we think. And we got a writer. And so this is, let me get the name, Stacey Asay Kafour, I believe, who is known for writing on Pen 15, which if you read that out, it looks like a different word. And also
gotcha.
wrote what most people might be familiar with is her on Watchmen. She was a story editor on Watchmen and also was a credited writer on one of the episodes. But she's coming on to do this Blade movie. And Marshala Ali was directly involved with this. They've been working for several months to find a writer for this movie. And this will be the first African-American lead writer on a MCU movie. That'd be cool. As well as I think she's certainly the first African-American woman. I think she might be the first woman to be lead writer as well on a MCU movie. So it's, I mean, they're they wanted this to be that, like, they were looking for a black voice to tell Blade, exactly. Which I think makes sense. He's
he's an African American character.
Yeah, and so they found a very talented writer. Yeah, because I know. I did watch Watchmen, and it's very good. And I do watch The Watchmen, yes. And so she seems like she's a very talented writer. Obviously, Kevin Feige and Marvel have been very deliberate with their choices. Yeah. And so I think that it's pretty cool. I'm excited.
It's a good choice, and I think for Blade and for the franchise, I think that's going to be the right step. And telling again, he's a minority, and he's also another minority because the fact is he is a vampire, so he's hated by humans for being a vampire, and then he's hated by vampires for being a human.
Daywalker.
Yeah. So I think it's good to have someone that could possibly relate a little bit more, that not just, you're just random writer. No, we got to write that everybody hates him. Like, you have to get to learn the character to love him kind of thing. And I love Blade. I think he's one of the better, I would say maybe like darker heroes out there, because I think he does ride that line a lot of like, well, I'm not a villain, I'm not a hero, I got to go kill vampires because they're evil, and I don't care who it is. Because at one point he tries to go kill Jubilee, who was turned into a vampire, and where some people are like, oh, that's wrong, it's like, but that's his niche, that's his thing. I kill vampires. She's a vampire, I got to kill her. I'm sorry, if she was an X-Men, she's now a vampire. Like, that's what you got to do. That's what you do. I think that's what I like about Blade. He doesn't care where you're from, who you are. Once you're a vampire, you're evil, and most times they are. They're mostly just evil people.
Well, it's not so much that they're evil; it's that they need blood to survive. And
if we go back to the first Blade movie, where they were trying to bring out the blood monster thing,
okay, those guys were evil.
The second one, where they also tried to turn the vampires into a whole other creature.
Those guys were evil. But, I feel like you're being very general here, okay?
They literally turned a dog into a vampire.
Edward is not evil, okay? Sparkly vampire.
That movie ended wrong. Blade should have killed him. That's how that movie should... I loved the memes when that came out. And Blade was like right behind him with the sword. I was like, yeah, that's how that movie should have been played out.
Like, I know what you are. Say it. Dead.
Right. I know, sure. What is it? Dead. And then just walks away. Well, but I want to know if they're gonna bring what's his name? Not Whisper. Is it Whiskers?
Whistler.
Whistler. Yeah. Because I keep thinking of Daredevil, and I keep wanting to figure out like which one it is. Mm. So.
Yep.
I don't know. I wonder who's gonna play him, or if they're even gonna bring him out. Like maybe they're not even going to.
We'll see.
So. Moving on to more news. I can talk news. Marvel related. I'm so excited when I heard this one. Spiderman 3.
Yep.
The next one for Tom Holland.
Yep.
William Dafoe.
Which is like the biggest movie ever now, where they're bringing now the most recent rumor.
Do you remember the guy who walked in front of Toby in this one scene? They're bringing him back too.
The most recent one now is that Willem Dafoe is reprising his role as Norman Osborn.
He was reportedly on set as the Green Goblin. I'm excited.
I am too. We talked about this earlier. Like we've talked about this several times. This movie feels super overstuffed, where it's like they're just throwing everything and the kitchen sink at it. But I love Willem Dafoe's villain. He's my favorite villain of the Sam Raimi trilogy, and that's saying something because Doc Ock is great. He is. Green Goblin is my favorite, and Willem Dafoe is fantastic as Norman Osborn.
Here's my thing, and I'm starting to wonder, because like you said, this movie's blown up. It's gonna be like a 10-hour long movie. I want to know, are they gonna do a part 1 and part 2 now? If it's getting to that point where it's getting so big.
I don't think so.
But then everybody's gonna get what, 2 minutes of Tom Holland's gonna get 2 minutes in his own movie.
I mean, you never know.
I mean, like, this movie it's blown up.
Yeah.
It's huge. I mean, it's got to be 2.5 hours at least.
You would think. Yeah.
I'm thinking 2.5, 3 hours.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to our last story. By the way, check out our YouTube videos. You already mentioned it earlier, but we are doing WandaVision reviews. This is a WandaVision adjacent story.
WandaVision.
On Twitter, over the last, week and a half since the first WandaVision episode with Jimmy Woo with Randall Park debuted, people have been blowing up, loving Jimmy Woo, loving Randall Park. We are in agreement. We love.
I love Darcy too.
Yeah, I mean it's been great, and so there was a lot of like Jimmy needs his own show. Jimmy needs his own show. Give him his own show, and so there was an actor who had tweeted out that he wanted a Jimmy Woo X-Files type story. So a show that's following him where he's investigating these different, weird situations that are probably supernatural or superhero adjacent, something like that. And a couple days after that, he revealed that Marvel reached out to him and was like, come pitch us your story.
Yeah.
So, not that it's been greenlit, not that it's been, nothing has happened except this guy now has a meeting with Marvel where he's going to have to pitched this possible spin-off story of Jimmy Woo. And so, yeah, I mean, this is something that, like,
I'm excited for
that would be
like that.
awesome. And think about how many minor characters you could pull in that you would never get in other types of shows.
Exactly.
But you could just have one-offs where, you know, there's how many of these comic characters that show up in one issue, or you know, like, and now that's something that you can have show up. You could have Randall Park, you know, show up. We've already gotten several like different actors and things like that have already said that, you know, they'd be on board to come. I'm like Mike Pence over here.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing.
Got a little fly on me.
Little flies.
But yeah, I mean, like that would be the type of thing. And if you wanted to turn it into a Jimmy and Darcy type of story, like Darcy, that would be fun. And so maybe they splinter off and, you know, become their own division of the FBI or something like that. I don't really know, but I'm excited.
I agree with you. I think it would be a good way to bring out some of these lesser known characters. And it would also could be a good lead into some bigger ones.
Sure.
You know, like you said, or not even the heroes, but maybe some of the bigger villains. Instead of having to bring out, like Thanos, we had to bring out over 10 movies or whatever. Maybe it's like this one thing's happening in Latveria. I should go talk to my CIA buddies and see what's going on.
Yeah.
Shut up, I'm bringing this in.
What could it be? What happens in Latveria?
What could it be? I don't know. Or like, you know, it would be, again, I would love a lot of throwaway lines like, you know, like Boris, or like you say, like some of the money ones. I'm trying to think of somebody off the top of my head, and I can't think. Like the Thunderbolts. We don't have anything with Thunderbolts yet. So what happens if it's a lot of he's capturing small time villains who eventually go into the movie The Thunderbolts? Like if they're doing something like that, like, hey, you're the Thunderbolts now. You're going to be the villains that possibly could be heroes. I mean, that's how Hawkeye got to start originally, was as a Thunderbolt. So it'd be kind of cool to see some of these smaller villains essentially grow into the heroes that we get in Thunderbolts. It'd be interesting. The Fly is like wanting its 5 minutes of fame. Clearly. So I'm excited to see if I mean, like you said, it's nothing could come from this. It could just be Marvel saying, "Nah, we're good. We're done."
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, but clearly it was an interesting enough idea that Marvel said,
"What
you
got?
know what? Let's see." Obviously, you know, Randall Park's character has been very well received in WandaVision. I think most people liked him in Ant-Man and the Wasp also.
He was one of the better parts, I think. I think you said that too.
Yeah, but he, you know, has really come into his own. He's only been in these first, you know, these 2 episodes that we've seen so far, but we anticipate he's going to be in every episode from this point forward.
Exactly.
And he's just been, you know, he's very he's a joy to watch because he is very competent in his job. He's a good FBI agent, but he's also just kind of got a genuine type of personality where he's looking to connect with people. Yeah. He's like, you know, like I still love that scene where he's talking with Darcy and like, you know, it's they're watching WandaVision and they're watching, you know, like the scene where she's giving birth to kids and she's like, "You want one?" And he starts talking about like, "Oh yeah, I want a little Jimmy Jr." And she's like talking about the bag of chips that she's holding. He's like, and he's like, "Oh, you mean the chips?"
I was like, that's such a good point too. Like if you're lost in thought, like watching this, and it's like, yeah, you know, I do want to kill one. Oh,
you're talking about yeah. So yeah, no, it'd be an interesting, like, you know, almost like an X-Files, like Mulder and Scully, and we get a little Jimmy and Darcy. Like I'm on board for that.
I'd be okay. See Jimmy a few more too.
Yeah, Jimmy Woo and Darcy, whatever her last name is, Dr. Darcy.
She's
Lewis.
Dr. Darcy though.
Lewis.
There you go.
Dr. Darcy Lewis.
She's a doctor, and she comments that. She remembers that.
It's very important. She's worked hard to be a doctor.
She did.
So
worked with Thor.
That's correct. Meow meow. What's meow meow?
And she also hits him repeatedly with her car. Or she hits him first, doesn't she?
No, that's Jane Foster.
I thought she hit her first.
Well, I mean,
who hits him first?
She's driving, but then Jane is messing with. Like, I feel like that's on Jane. Like Natalie Portman's like messing with the steering wheel.
Oh, okay.
And so yeah, that's not. If you're not in the driver's seat, you should not be touching the steering wheel.
That's true. So Darcy's cleared, you're saying, from running over somebody?
I'm saying it's not Darcy's fault. So and later, when the second time it happens, that's definitely Jane Foster.
That was all her, yeah. Backed up into poor Thor in that one.
Yeah, he's fine.
So, but guys, definitely check out all our other videos of the week. You know, check out anything. Let us know below if we missed any news comments that you wanted to hear about, or maybe we can talk about them next week. But yeah.
Well, we won't talk about them next week. This is
we'll talk about them next week.
My farewell episode for at least a few weeks.
At least David will be in. Hopefully Philip and Sam maybe, or a few others.
You'll find someone to
Frank
talk
will
to.
be back.
I'm sure.
Frank will hopefully be back next week.
Hopefully.
So tune in, guys. I'll be back. Maybe you'll at least do the WandaVision reviews. Maybe I can sneak him away from that.
I have no idea.
I'm gonna try to. Are you
gonna record it in the middle of the night?
Hey, do you gotta talk quietly? Yeah. Okay. Oh man, dang it! We got the first line. That's exactly what happens for anyone who has a newborn. That's exactly what happens. You're like, oh, peaceful. Wah! The moment you think it, I'm telling you right now, newborns. So guys, comment below. And let us know what you think about everything that's going on in the geek world and geek news. And if we miss anything, let us know. Go check out our other videos on youtube.com/official GYGO. And for Aaron, for Robert, stay geeky and get your geek on.
Bye.